phone, or if I'm just talking normally, I just lose track of things. Try to do a bit of a change of environment here right now. So you're kind of looking more at the ceiling at the moment in time rather than me at my desk. So I thought, obviously, see how it works and see how things go. Just trying to jazz it up, keep people on their toes. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Wakey, wakey. Rise and shine to everybody. At the moment in time, we are live on all of our social media channels, I believe, right now. So I'm told, anyway. And I want to come live today as opposed to a Thursday because, and I'll get this out of the way straight away, because tomorrow we are doing our free, yep, that's right, check the mic, free training session tomorrow. If you are in right now and you're viewing this or seeing this live, currently we have a lot of people saying that they are happy to attend. That would be great. More the merrier. You do need to go on and register. That's the only thing with the LinkedIn. Not sure if that works as well. You do need to go on and register. Now, the free training session, how you maintain workplace relationships. We're not going to be talking about relationships as in romantic relationships. I'm not an agony aunt. That is not what I'm here for. Don't profess to be. But what we are looking at those relationships and how getting just this one right, just changing this one process, having a focus or a mind shift around the workplace relationship in general, can actually make a huge difference to engagement, productivity, profitability, your business overall. So a big element to your business to focus on. And we're going to be going through a number of key areas on that tomorrow at 12. It's a lunch and learn session between 12 and 1. I will not judge those that bring their lunch along, whatever you are eating. I am not here to judge. I may salivate and get hungry myself as I'm talking, but I will not judge. I promise, hand on heart. To actually access that session, like I said, it's absolutely free for everybody to come on and attend. All you have to do is go to relationships.cavel, spelled CAVELLHR.co.uk. That's CAV. What the hell's going on with me? It's relationships. It's Wednesday. It's because I'm doing it on a Wednesday and it's not a Thursday. It's unusual. It's unheard of for me. Relationships.cavel, CAVELLHR.co.uk. What I'm going to do is put on, try and see if I can put that on here just before we move on, just in case I completely muddled everybody up with what I was saying. So when I figure that out as to how to get that on there, I will post that. But anyway, so just to refresh, we have that session. We're going live today on a Wednesday as opposed to a Thursday, primarily because we're doing that training session at this time tomorrow. So obviously this is a free event for individuals to come on and actually watch and to attend. So that is absolutely fine. More the merrier. And like I said, you can bring your lunch along with you as well. Now, what I'm going to do is see if that actually, if we can show that or not. Boom. There we go. So that is the, I don't know why it's put it on there twice. I really don't understand. That is the website link. So I will keep that up there for now. However, what I want to talk about with you today, 4 minutes into this conversation, I know, right? What I want to talk to you about today is how to manage multiple staff issues. So one of the key things that we tend to find with clients is when you have an individual who you may be having some problems with, maybe some concerns, maybe there's some other things that are happening around the workplace in their personal lives. I don't know. It tends to be that it's never one thing. It always seeps into something. If you look at, for example, a great way looking at performance, it's a great one. It's a typical one. So if you look at your performance policy, yeah, I hear you screaming, we don't have a performance policy, my separate issue. However, if you imagined, and if you don't have one, you imagine, right, your performance policy. Your performance policy normally will work in like an angle of, work in a straight line for you in your business. You think, I've got someone who's maybe demonstrating some performance concerns, and I need to get them to the level that I want them to be at. And obviously with performance, you're always looking at trying to think here, because everything's back to front on mine. If the level of the role that you need is up here and the person is down here, you don't drop the role to meet the person. You support the person to come up and meet the level of the role that you have. Now, if you look at your policy, it's a straight test that if that isn't working, you go from A to B, C, and D, which could be more formal action all the way up into including probably dismissal at that point in time. Now, of course, if you read that policy, it looks like it's fairly straightforward. You're going to go through it in one long sweep, beginning to end. Either the employee works better and you get the performance you need, or things aren't working so well and actually the employee actually ends up exiting the business one way or the other. Well, the problem is very rarely does it ever go that way. I would say rather than a straight line, these things more mirror that of a heartbeat. So they'll be up and down, up and down, up through that particular process. And you can find that people who are going through performance, as you start managing them, they start to raise instances with the fact that they feel they're being managed in the wrong way. Perhaps they feel you're bullying and harassing them. They've into perhaps going off sick at various points in time. They may have health concerns, health conditions that's impacting on their ability to perform to the level of the role that you have. So you need to go and look at that, maybe get occupational health assessments you can put in the workplace to help and support that individual. You may then find yourself at some point in time ending up in a conduct issue relating things and the fact the person's still relatively unhappy with their performance and the way they're being managed and so on and so forth. And you can see what I mean. It just bounces into multiple different issues with one person. And one of the biggest complications is knowing what policy am I under and what process am I meant to be completing. Where are we with this particular process at any given time? And you could be in multiple policies by that point in time rather than just performance. So for me, one of the greatest tips that I always in that you've got to put people and situations into particular boxes to know which process you're under. Within that process, potentially you're running. What stages, what one impacts on which other policy and process? Does one take precedent over the other? For example, can you continue to manage someone's performance whilst they're off sick? Probably not, I would have guessed. So in that sense of things, we want to make sure that we're set to know where we're going to be. And it can be very complicated for managers to keep themselves and know that they're in the right process and doing the right things at the right times. One of the things I always look to do is imagine those boxes. So you could have, for example, there could be multiples of these boxes, by the way. So you could have your sickness absence box. You could have your performance box. You could have conduct and disciplinary box. Grievance, bullying and harassment, because grievance around process and grievance around behaviors. You could have things relating to redundancy. You could have things relating to TUPE. So you could have multiple boxes, and underneath each of those, you'll also have sub boxes that you would put people. And I always try and think about it that if I'm dealing, again, that performance case, I'm dealing with a performance case, and we're going through that particular process, it is difficult to go through performance. That's a training kind of conversation and a live of all a separate value on a different one than today. But through a performance issue, let's just use keep with that example. And all of a sudden, the person does raise a bullying harassment against the manager or you in this particular case. Then you need to kind of focus where am I? What happens to the performance? Can I continue to still line manage this by bullying harassment claim against me? Can the two things run concurrently in parallel? This issue this person's raised here in their grievance, is that part of process? So are they upset around a procedural element I'm applying around the performance? Or are they just saying that they think that I'm being a nasty, mean old manager or young manager? You can be any age as a manager, by the way. HR hat firmly on. So in those kind of make sure, you know, where you are, you're following the right processes. We always call them gateways. So before you move through the gateway to the next guard and whatever the case may be, we want to make sure that we've done everything we should have done in the garden we're in before we move through. So we want to make sure that we know where we are, with which situation, with which policy. Does one take precedent? Can they run parallel? And viewing them in which boxes you're in, always be able to keep on top of, where am I with this? Does this take precedent over this? Do we need to, the person's gone off sick now. So now they've come, we've done the grievance at work. It's not gone in their favor, let's say, just as a kind of an example. And in that sense, they go off sick with work-related stress. These are not kind of unheard of things. I'm not coming out with anything outlandish that people wouldn't have understood or ever heard before. But in terms of things, it's about, if someone's gone off sick, then I can't obviously manage the performance at the same time. The bullying harassment case has been dealt with, so that's done, dusted. Put that. Now I've got to focus on getting this person back to work. Do we need to make any reasonable adjustments to help them to come back to work, etc., etc., etc. And it's just, as a manager, you're spinning multiple plates all at the same time. Which box, which plate is this situation in? Where am I with this state of things? Which avenue do I need to take now? And it can be a multitude of lots of different things that could be coming up. I mean, literally, it is not unheard of to be in a shed load of different boxes, all subcategory boxes, and making sure that you know where you are and keeping a plan and a review of where you are and what you're doing with that particular person. And I mean, that comes back to another point, which again is another topic of conversation, which is you must always keep the documents of the processes that you're going through. Documentation is key. We always do the kind of the three things: so document, and document. And if you've not documented, document again, just to cover your back and make sure you're doing the right things. But the process here is you can have one person, and we've always said it can take just one person to end up being what we call a time vacuum or a time sponge. They will zap up all of your time, all of your energy as a manager, and they could have multiple issues all at the same time. And as soon as you get somebody that starts entering into the world of having multiple problems, then it becomes a real big, difficult balancing and juggling act for you as a manager. So take that away and think about that in that particular process. So when you're dealing with somebody, you can plan out, okay, I have this particular issue, whatever that may be, that comes under this policy. I'm in this box, I'm in this category. Within that process, I'm at this particular stage, so I'm in that stage there. So it's like an informal process, or is it formal? Where do you sit with that? And then as that's happening, something else comes up. Oh, okay, now I've got this. Well, does that impact on the other thing that I've got happening over here? Yes, no. Can they work in parallel? Think about the boxes. Think about how each one impacts on the other. Does one take precedent? Can they work in parallel? And if they do take precedent, how do you manage that, and what happens to the other process whilst that's running its course? And if you don't have an HR team, then that's fine. That's okay. You can always contact us. That's always a good thing as well. But it's just, usually if you've got an HR guidance, they'll be helping you to do that particular process. And this is guided towards you. Potentially, maybe you might be a finance manager, finance director, CFO. You might be an ops manager, ops director. You may be an owner, a founder, managing director, and you've got responsibility of multiple hats in your business, in the company that you work for. So whilst you're doing that, you will find that this will probably take all of your time away from all of the other things you're meant to be doing. So that could be quite stressful in its own right. This will certainly help with that process of keeping you focused, being able to draw down that plan as to where you are and what your next steps should be, and keeping documents against each of those elements, and knowing that before I go through this path here into the next stage, I need to have done these different bits. Think of those gateways before you move into the next box. So from one box to the other, make sure you're passing and ticking off all the elements you should have done as you were going through that. Look, I hope everybody has a fantastic lunch, a wonderful hump day. If you can make it to our training session tomorrow, relationships.cavalhr.co.uk, it's on the screen there for you. Literally just type that into Google, go on and register. It takes place tomorrow. As soon as you go on and register, like I said, it is free. There are options to purchase the recording. There are options to also purchase the workbook. Just on that, as a note, we are this month going to be delivering something that actually for us is quite exciting. It's something new and a new level of service that we've not provided before. And all of our training, including training like this, yes, with all of my mess ups on this particular training, probably because I'm doing this on my own today. But with all of these bits and pieces, we'll be going on to an online platform for us that people will be able to access. And we'll be announcing the breakout of that probably in a live session in a couple of weeks' time. Fingers crossed, all going well. But it is really exciting, and realistically, for those of you who are in businesses where you're employers, or you are, like I said, one of those roles where you're responsible for the HR element, although you're not HR, it can be quite supportive to you if you're not quite at that stage of looking to completely ship out all of your HR to somebody else to do for you. So in that sense of things, we're going to have two levels of service. One, which will be a done for you service, which is our retained service. We're also going to be announcing soon a service which is a done with you service. So kind of a lighter version of the retained HR. But the big part of that package will be these training programs. The training program that we're going to be doing tomorrow, our big major foundation course, which was the Hire Fast, and we'll be announcing all of that in due course. Just want to say, love that. Cheers, Andrew Gordon. Give you a quick mention there on LinkedIn. Thank you very much. Yep, concept of gateways, great idea. Totally agree. Hopefully that's something that people can think about. It's just making sure you've done the things you're meant to have done in one box before you move to the next one. Something we use through everything. So our redundancy blueprint, that's our unique redundancy process that we've worked through. It's built around the gateways. It's built around exactly the same process. The processes we do with 2P, exactly the same. And actually, to be honest with you, we don't call it that, but we use it with everything else we guide clients through. So I'm glad that's been helpful, Andrew. Thank you very much for getting involved in the chat. I just want to say thank you to everybody if you've been listening. If you come on and listen afterwards, and I'll be speaking to you soon. Have a great rest of the week and enjoy.